I'd like to call the meeting to order. Will you please rise and we'll say the pledge together. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you please call the roll?
Mr. Worthman?
Yes.
Mr. Ward? Yes. Mr. Roladai?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzman?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody this evening. This is a very special evening because we're going to honor our retirees. So we will go ahead and move forward. And I would like, even though I don't mean to make this a sad occasion, but we have lost a very special member of our team, and I would like us to just have a moment of silence in honor of Mrs. Sandra Fennell, if you would, please. Thank you. And did you want to say?
Yeah, I just on behalf of the board out to the Fennell family, to Larry and Haley and Lindsay and Chad and Renee, our deepest condolences to them. And I also want to recognize the staff and Carly from East. They did a phenomenal job staying connected with the family. And then at the services went above and beyond. And so Carly, to you and to your staff, thank you on behalf of the board for all that you did. They provided books for all the children that came to the hours, and they all left with books in their hands, and there were some beautiful notes, so thank you.
Yes. I'd especially like to compliment the children on the notes that they
Yeah,
wrote.
they were beautiful.
It was really very, very meaningful.
Yeah,
to
it was
read those.
beautiful.
So,
Yes.
tell them how much we appreciated that. And I know her family did. And I would entertain a motion then to approve the regular meeting minutes. So moved. Thank you, Ms. Vergulidai. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Workman. Were there any corrections? Hearing none, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Roladai?
Yes.
Mr. Worthman?
Yes.
Mr. Ward? Yes. Mrs. Getzman?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you, and I will turn it over to Mr. Cetus to honor our retirees.
Well, thank you, Dr. Bennett. This is kind of a bittersweet time for a lot of us. I know maybe more sweet for our retirees, especially when I see them all in their flowery outfits ready to retire to get out of here. But we certainly want to make sure that we have a chance to honor and recognize just the service that you have brought to the district. And we have 10 retirees tonight, 6 who have been able to join us. And we brought someone kind of special from your particular building or where you spent most of your time while being in the district to just maybe share a thought or two. And if you could be thinking for us, because we always love to hear this, what kind of special thing you might be planning to do in retirement? And maybe you could share that with us, or share maybe somebody you brought with. So without further ado, we did put together a little PowerPoint with a couple of pictures, and we'll have some folks, of course, come up. And so, again, this is our retirement celebration for Monday, May 15th, 2023. And first up will be Amy Ballard. So Amy, if you could come up, and I know Christy wants to come up and share a little bit about you.
She's nice in here.
Oh, she just wasn't able to make it. Okay. Well, we'll still share a little bit about Amy.
Yeah, unfortunately, Amy's ill and she was unable to attend tonight. But I wanted to share, she is a close friend and close co-worker. She's worked at Wigan Street as an intervention specialist since 2005 and was a Wigan Street parent. And we met as our kids were in preschool together, and I had the pleasure as a teacher to share my classroom with her every day as she co-taught math with me. And this is where I learned more about her past career as a social worker and saw how her path supported her love for students, teaching, and Wigan Street. Amy always puts kids academically and social emotionally first. She makes sure that all of her students and more students have food needed so that they can learn. Her room is a safe space for all, and she makes learning fun. One of the most difficult things for her to do this year is to tell her students that she will not be at Wiggins Street next year. Their love and respect for each other are mutual. And seeing her through a different lens the past 2 years has also shown me her level of professionalism. I've appreciated how she has gone above and beyond to support her replacement, Mrs. Bickerman, sharing her students' strengths and needs to help them continue to grow. And Wiggins Street will not be the same without Amy. But we are all happy that she'll be able to travel. That's her plan, to travel with her husband, Harold. And if we need her, we can still find her on Wiggins Street because luckily she lives just down the road.
Amy Mallard. I'm going to change the game. So I want everybody straight up front here. We forgot to turn this mic on. All right, so our next retiree will be Bonnie Brenneman. Now, Bonnie, you've got to come up right here, front and center.
She loves
Come on, Bonnie. And so, unfortunately, Adam Mowry gave me a call earlier today, and he really kind of banged himself up pretty good and had to go home to be seen. So Sarah Burke is going to share a little bit about you, and then we've got a special gift for you. All right? And be thinking about all that exciting, fun stuff you're going to do. Here's a mic so you may not need it, but.
Probably don't, but we'll go ahead. Miss Bonnie Brenneman started her career in the Otsego School District as a third grade teacher for half a year in 1979. She finished the year as a substitute. Then Mrs. Brenneman went to North Baltimore and taught kindergarten for 2 years.
Wow. Turn it off. There we go.
Crazy.
Okay.
That's all right, I have a big mouth. After her stint in North Baltimore, her and her husband moved to Mercer County, where she subbed for several years, and there they welcomed their daughter Renee. Mrs. Brenneman took several years off to raise her daughter, and then they moved to the Mount Vernon area for several, with their son, Gary, who was also born in that time. Mrs. Brenneman babysat for several other kids while Gary was 4 years old. She then went to Faith Lutheran Preschool and taught 3-year-olds for 2 years. Mrs. Brenneman then took a job housed at Pleasant Street as a 4-H latchkey program director, and she did this for 2 years. Mrs. Brenneman was then hired at Dan Emmett as a reading aide, and she served in this role for 2 years. After Dan Emmett, Mrs. Brenneman was hired as a reading teacher at Columbia Elementary. She went between Columbia and Pleasant Street for several years, wherever the title funds went. Mrs. Brenneman was then trained in LLI and joined Twin Oak Elementary staff for the third year the building had been opened. She has served as our reading specialist ever since. There were a few years sprinkled in when she was split between Twin Oak and Dan Emmett. The students have something to say about Miss Brenneman when asked. I like reading books with her because she has very good books. She helps us read. One of the students recently stated, Mrs. Brenneman has taught me how to believe in myself. She taught me how to use self-talk. She is really nice and helps me make words. She makes us sound out the words with our fingers. And what the staff says, Bonnie was always willing to help out, either personally or professionally. She went above and beyond to be supportive in the school and outside the school. Bonnie, even in a monsoon or blizzard, is willing to take the students outside. She believed in play for the students. You could always see Miss Brenneman wheeling her cart up and down the hallways with her reading materials. The cart had a mind of its own and would often drift off toward unsuspecting children or adults. Adam added that. But in all seriousness, Mrs. Brenneman had a love of reading and a love of kids. What an awesome combination.
So Bonnie, those 26 years of service, we're so proud of you, and we wish you the best. Tell us what's next.
Well, we have 5 grandchildren, so that'll be a lot of it. We also just bought a travel trailer, and that which included having to buy a different truck. So our plan is to travel around. Yeah.
So you, 1979,
Yes.
Do you still have any disco
Oh, no.
fever moves?
Oh, no.
Did she have any oh, there's the I can tell for sure. Well, on behalf of the Board of Education, please accept this token of our appreciation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just go next. Okay. Next up is Peggy DeVillers. Peggy, could you come up? We have two people who are going to come up and maybe have a thought. You're just so important. We got to have two people. So Carly and Mark. Carly Watterson is the principal at East, and Mark Keim is our food service director. And so we'll allow them an opportunity here.
Well, mine is very short because I was ordered to make it short and sweet. And since I still have to work with her for about 2 weeks, I'm going to see what she says. I know she was born in Mount Vernon. She grew up in Mount Vernon, and she served Mount Vernon children for 27 years. I've begged her to make it a rounded 30, but she won't hear that. But she will be missed. She kept my feet on the fire and spoke like it was and is, and I respect the heck out of her for that, and I appreciate her very much. So I wanted to thank you for all of us and everyone that worked with you. I appreciate it, and all the kids that you fed, I'm sure they appreciate it too. And I also wanted to give you just a little, hopefully it comes out without too much trouble, just a little knife so you can continue cooking when you get home.
Oh, nice.
Okay? So
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I'm very excited to talk about this young lady here, Mrs. Peggy DeVillers. Peggy is kind and compassionate and is loved by our students. She's wrapping up her 27th year in food service in our district. This is certainly a lot of years invested in feeding our students, but when you calculate the number of lunches she has served, it equals over 1.5 million. I did. And this is not counting breakfasts or the years that she worked with the summer food service program. So Peggy has served all these meals to a wide variety of students in kindergarten through high school and has put up with last-minute schedule changes, picnics on the playground, oven malfunctions, and so much more. We've definitely had some interesting lunch hours. East students shared some thoughts about you. Many said she is the best lunch lady ever. One student wanted you to know that you serve lunch like a queen. Another student said that his favorite food that Mrs. DeVillers makes is her mac and cheese because she makes the noodles perfect. And when I asked a kindergarten student if there was anything that she would like to say, she said that she will miss your beautiful face, that you help her open things, and your organization. That was a kindergartner. Wow. Yes. She obviously has made an impact on so many of our students. So on behalf of East Elementary, thank you for serving not only breakfast and lunch to our students, but also compassion, kindness, and love for so many years.
Here's a substitute application. You can come back starting next year. So Peggy, can you kind of share with us, well, maybe if you brought anybody with you and what your plans are as you step out of 27 years of service to our students?
The only plans I really have is spend time with grandchildren. We're going to take a train trip for our 25th anniversary. And
awesome.
Who's we? Who is we?
My husband, Chip.
Oh,
my sister, Kathy.
Chip, was she also a 70s child? Yeah?
No, I don't have any moves either.
No moves either? I want to be here. On behalf of the board and your 27 years of service, thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right, Miss Sabrina. Come on up. Rhonda Dalp is kind of helping us at the middle school relative to Sabrina. I know they've got an awards, I think, thing going on tonight, and so there's lots of things going on. But there was people lining up to talk about Miss Sabrina, so I'll let you guys go ahead.
Here, I can look at you. Don't hide behind me. Oh, Sabrina has taught for 36 years, which I commend. That's a long time. The teaching profession requires very specific characteristics. You must be selfless, optimistic, a problem solver, creative, flexible, patient, kind, and above all, love children. Any student fortunate enough to have had Sabrina Pugh has found she is all of these and more. Sabrina has only encouraged students to think about their future careers. She's taught them life skills such as nutrition and cooking, and she makes the best mac and cheese in the world. Basic sewing skills that everyone should know. She's taught them to give back to school and community as well. She and her friends have served pancakes to veterans and made them cards, served meals at station break, made Christmas cards for nursing homes, made blankets for the homeless, toys and treats for the dog shelter, run our PBS store, recycling, and so much more. As if this isn't enough to do, she serves on the 4-H Planning Committee, OSU Alumni, Seroptimus, and Hospice Board, just to name a few. No test will ever measure the knowledge and skills your students have gained. Can't look at you, sorry. The data will never show the countless hours you put into grocery shopping, kitchen prep, talking and listening to students, and collaboration time you put in weekly. This career does not allow for a lot of me time. May retirement allow you the freedom to visit friends and loved ones, finish the projects you have put off, and travel wherever you desire. Most of all, thank you for the love and devotion you've given to the students of Mount Vernon City Schools. You made a difference.
Wow, there's no topping that. Anything you want to say?
Well, I brought with me my mom, who is a retired teacher from Fredericktown, and my sister, who has her DNP and works at Case Western Reserve. They both came to support me tonight, and I'm planning to do a lot of traveling, or I hope to do a lot of traveling with them, and who knows where it all
Wow,
go.
36 years in education. That is a long time, and 33 right here in Mount Vernon City Schools. On behalf of the board, we certainly want to say thank you with a small token of our appreciation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, who's this young lady here? Susan Rice. Come on up, Susan. And again, joining us will be Sarah Burke.
This picture was taken today. That's what my day looked like.
Susan Rice started her career in third grade classroom at Dan Emmett Elementary in 1989. She stayed in this position until she moved to sixth grade math at Mount Vernon Middle School. She stayed in this position for several years until she moved to second grade at Columbia Elementary. There, she worked with second graders for 4 years. She indicates that this was a difficult transition. She then served as the numeracy coordinator for K through 8 and worked with teachers to support them in the Common Core rollout. This was a 3-year position funded through Race to the Top funds. She then moved to Twin Oak Elementary and has served as a 5th grade teacher ever since. And she taught my daughter, and she is my daughter's favorite teacher. Still remembers her lock of combination and all the stories in the classroom, so that's always fun as a parent and a coworker as well. Very special. What our students say, Mrs. Rice, you are kind and you are a hero. I love how you teach math, like with shapes and polygons. I like how you do fun things like taco trucks and cahoots. Words to describe Mrs. Rice from the kids are kind, encouraging, caring, nice, and overall an amazing teacher. Mrs. Rice, I don't know what our school is going to do without you. I love you so much. You have helped me improve so much in math. And what the staff has to say about Susan Rice, Mrs. Rice goes above and beyond to establish relationships with students. She will take time out of her day to check in with a student that might be having a difficult day to ensure their well-being is at the forefront. She can always be found with a smile. Mrs. Rice would always have leadership positions in our building or in the district. This always made it easy for staff because she was always willing to share information and get information out as needed. She was very helpful and approachable. Thank you.
So, Miss Susan, who have you brought with you?
I brought my husband Ralph right over there.
I'm telling you what, I saw him walking in. That was a retirement shirt of a And I have gotten, I've been blessed to get to know Susan in a variety of other capacities over the years, so we talk a little bit more frequently. We made a big change with 5th grade outdoor education camp together, where we brought all 6th graders, or all 5th graders together to go to one camp, and we spent many a year together kind of planning that event, and it's a legacy that I think will be around for a long time. And I guess I would echo a comment that Sarah made. I know sometimes talk at our house will revolve around, oh, I think someone's going to retire, or this is going to happen, and I'm blessed with 6 grandchildren, and 4 of which go right here to Twin Oak, and my granddaughter Ava said, well, Mrs. Rice isn't retiring yet, because I want to have her as a teacher, and she does this year, and she was so pleased that you were her teacher. So that's a real testament. So we wish you the best in all your travels. Please accept this small token of our appreciation.
Thanks.
And last but not least tonight is Grandpa. So if we could have John Shaw kind of come on up, and again, it seemed like maybe a Twin Oak retirement night here tonight, but John, come on up.
John Shaw. John started with Mount Vernon City Schools in 1980, driving a school bus for several years. He then worked with individuals with disabilities for a period of 18 years. He then came back to Mount Vernon City Schools in 2009 as a full-time bus driver. He transferred to custodial work in 2016 at Twin Oak and Columbia Elementaries. He moved to Twin Oak full-time in 2017 as the head custodian. He served in this capacity until 2022 when he moved to second shift to finish his career. Students have a lot to say about John Shaw. They definitely notice that he's working a different shift now, and so a lot of times when I'm in the cafeteria, they keep saying, Mrs. Burke, where's Mr. Shaw and my candy? Because Mr. Shaw was famous for handing out the candy.
Well, they worked for it.
Yes, they did have to work for it, but Mr. Shaw is really nice, and he always thinks about me. He even checks in with a note and maybe even a bag of candy once in a while. I missed him this year when he started working at night. What the staff have to say, his grandpa shirt was his uniform. He was a proud grandpa and was always personable with the students. He's a grandpa to hundreds during his years here. He also spoiled the students with his candy share bin. And I know personally, just as a school social worker, I've spent a lot of time having conversations with Mr. Shaw about students, and he cares deeply for them. He always wanted to know how he could help and what he could do around the school to help, but not just that, but how to invest in the life of a kid. So he had a soft spot for some of our toughest kids, and so I will always remember that of John Shaw. Yep. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, Professor Shaw.
I too have 6 grandchildren.
You do?
Yes. The grandpas.
Well, I was going to comment on that. So I've known John since I've gotten here, mostly as a bus driver at first, and I don't know if I ever saw a scowl on his face. It was always a smile, and even a smile here. So I'm assuming this was all about making kids smile in a lot of ways.
Well, my wife got this for me because I get a little grumpy sometimes.
Oh.
She thinks I do.
So what are your plans in retirement?
We're planning to do some traveling once she retires. She still has a couple of years yet.
Oh, okay.
But she's made it very clear that I am not going to sit in the lounge chair with the dog on my lap. So, I'll have to, I think I'm still going to drive some bus.
Okay.
So,
well, good. Well,
other than that, then we're just planning on traveling. We're thinking about getting an RV and
That sounds like a fun plan.
Yes.
Well, on behalf of the board, small token of our appreciation that you can kind of check the time when you have to do those honeydew projects,
Yes.
all right?
Yes. Thank you.
So we had a number of others who were unable to be with us tonight, and I thought I would at least list them by name. Joe Durr is out west right now. He is a high school custodian and retired here mid-year, so 21 years with the district. Becky Lindsley is an assistant to the treasurer, Mr. Hankins, 25 years. She'll be the first to say she's not big on crowds, and I think she had a grandma thing to do tonight. But that's a long time to serve our district. Pete Lyons is a high school business teacher, 20 years, has served the district. And then Martha Mielek, really a cohort to Sabrina, and Family and Consumer Science was with us for the past 18 years. All told, 236 years of service to Mount Vernon City Schools. So if we could give all of them a nice round of applause. What we'd love to do in just for 10 to 15 minutes is just to get a chance to kind of mingle among our retirees. Wish you the best. We have just some water and some cupcakes over here, but at this time we'll take a little break from our regular meeting and just kind of get a chance to kind of social and gather for a few minutes. All right?
It's a long time.
Since neither of my friends are here, I'm going to scoot.
Thanks for coming.
I think my surrogate.
I don't know why that
She was
I better be good at that, right?
I'll tell you what, why don't you do this? I'll have you, why don't you just sit here and video first,
You know, she'll get the computer set up and the security.
Where would you like me to sit?
and then you can just step up. Have a good evening.
You too.
Oh, Gary.
What? My daughter loves her.
It's the name. My husband's name's Gary. It's no problem.
Probably don't even need this one anymore, do we really? With our small group now. Just want that right there. Okay, we're going to move on. May is the last month of the school year, and the high school has been selected or chosen or didn't sign up for all the other months, so they were left with May. And so, Assistant Principal Jenna Hetzel is going to share with us some unique insights of what's going on at the high school.
So one of the things that we wanted to bring was last year we got a grant, and we started this new class this year. I believe we introduced it last May to you. It's called the Entrepreneurship Class. And I'm super excited about it with a technology background, and the kids have just really embraced it. Mr. Savage has done an amazing job. Our goal is to turn this into a business pathway with our next, adding another teacher next year. So the kids just really, really like it. They've done many, many things for the district, for people outside the district, and we put together a little video for you to watch so you can see what they've done. So with that.
Okay.
My name is Matt Hanna, and I'm here with
Kid Rollins.
and today we're going to give you a rundown of what we do at Stinger Marketing and Printing and just how things work. Behind me here are 4 of our most recent projects. I'm also going to give you a rundown of the 3 machines that you just saw working. So the first machine that you guys saw was the Canon 4100 Pro S. It is the printer that we use here at Stenger Marketing and Printing. It can print anything from 15-inch paper up to 44-inch and can do all different sizes, cutouts, materials, anything you can do. The second machine was the AGS coordinate cutter. It's a cutter that goes off of basically coordinates like a graph. You saw that cutting out the circular stickers. You can do a circle option, triangle option, square option. It's just the edges and stuff like that. And the third device that you saw was the heat transfer device. The sublimation machine is what they call it. You saw that making a puzzle. You can do t-shirts, puzzles, water bottles, really anything you can think of with that machine. So that's a little bit of what we do here. I personally got into graphic design last year, and this is what I do. More on the business side. He's going to go to college, do the same thing, so I'll let him talk about what he's going to do.
Hi, like I said, I'm Caden Rowland. Like he said before, I'm going to college for business economics at Dayton. I took entrepreneurship first semester of my senior year and loved it. Just simply because it has provided me a foundation of knowledge in the business background, basically. Things like providing skills and traits that are required to be successful in the business world. There have been speakers that have been brought in, successful business leaders that have been brought in, talked to us.
That's great.
So, yeah, they're really, really excited. They're having a lot. Our goal, I know, is to give them a mainstream of everything, and then if students want to go on to college for a business, they can choose that pathway, or if they want to be career ready for businesses, we're going to work with the businesses to see what they need and introduce that. So we've got some lofty goals and I think we can attain it.
So is there a credential that they can earn?
We're working on that right now. Again, that's we got to get our new teacher, and then we're gonna work on that. So it's in the works. I know we had some meetings with Mr. Cedar on that.
Yeah.
So hopefully,
I'd love for you to make a presentation at the Ohio School Board Association and share what you're doing with, other
I would love to.
schools. Yeah.
I'd like to tweak my video a little bit. Yes, I would be more than glad to do that.
Okay, that's great. Sounds great. Maybe next year.
Thank
you.
It's a far cry from the.
Now, are you looking to hire your second teacher, right? This for the 23-24 year or
Yes.
24-25?
Yes. This
23-24.
Yes.
Yeah.
23-24.
Yeah.
Mr. Lyons retired
Yes.
as a business teacher,
Right.
and so we're looking for someone with kind of credentials that can take it to another level with entrepreneurship and kind of a marketing business kind of an aspect to really try to work towards more of a business pathway, which is going to be, one of those things we want to try to establish.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Thank
you so much.
Thanks.
We should give her a hand. And thank the students also, please.
Yeah. I didn't either.
And you don't have anything.
I have to go to a concert, Mr. Cedar. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything from MBEA? No?
And Mr. Lang, did you? Okay. Alrighty, and I don't think there was any public participation, so we will go ahead. There were no items for board discussion and addition, deletions.
I have a number of additions and or deletions for the board agenda tonight. They're all in the personnel section, so a couple resignations due to either leaving or taking on other roles. Addition of a couple substitute teachers, and the deletion of one teacher until we get something kind of in order, and then you'll see that name come back in the next month. So those are some additions and deletions to the agenda. Under superintendent's report, I do have a brief district update, if I could share it with you. And of course, I always like to do it via PowerPoint. And so, here's our district update. We just completed our third week in a row of outdoor education camp for our fifth graders. We do that in Marengo at Camp Heartland. And believe it or not, May 1st, Monday, May 1st, it was 40 degrees, flurries, and drizzly. And today was our third Monday, and it was 80 degrees and sunny. So, such is Ohio.
Go figure.
Yeah. But I thought real quickly, we used to go and stay overnight a couple nights, and it was a really culminating effect. I thought it was awesome to really bring all 6 elementary schools together, and that they could enjoy time together, get to know each other before we transitioned to middle school. We did that for probably 6 years or so, and then COVID came. We had to cancel that year, and from that point forward, they've never been able to accommodate bringing all 300 students from all 6 elementaries to spend the night. And so we found ourselves relegated to doing just 2 schools at a time, which is better than nothing, but also the outdoor camp experience was really important. So when we go now, we all take off at 9 o'clock in the morning. We get back about 6:15 at night. There's a lunch in the middle, and we have 5 different activities. And I thought I'd show you what those are. There's a wilderness survival. And so our students get to talk about how to survive in the wilderness, how to make a campfire out of materials that you have, how to build shelters. And you'll notice we generally get everybody in 5th grade a camp kind of a t-shirt. So they are the class of actually 2030, believe it or not. So wilderness survival is one. The other one is reptiles and mammals. This is always an interesting time. We go sit and They have lots of sharing, and then we get to touch a lot of animals, from snakes to, I think that's a bearded dragon, and a gecko, and a turtle, and so lots of interesting things to share. Some are queasy, some are like, bring it on, right? So that's a neat experience. Archery, John Fry, I don't know why he put my picture in here. I think I had just eaten lunch too, so ignore that. But the kids love to do the archery, and so some of them have never gotten a chance to do it. And so John and I have been going out now for the past 8 years. We spend the whole day out there with them and actually get right in there and get involved. It's kind of interesting when they say, "Who are you?" And I have to, kind of explain to them, I'm the principal of the principals, and they all get it. But yet it's really neat to meet the 5th graders that'll be incoming 6th graders. Lunch, they always love going to the quote cafeteria lunch. And this is just a picture of a day that we went in there, and they had pretzel sandwiches, all the salad you could eat, chips, cookie, and pears today. And so the kids get to sit around kids from other schools and really just kind of mingle. Echo Extreme, we actually go down to the streams on a wagon. So they get kind of a wagon ride. We head down and they learn about all of the different types of living organisms that are in a stream. And then they physically go out in the stream with nets, and we caught a lot of things today, didn't we, John? From really big, we caught a number of fish, a number of crawdads. I mean, it's really neat to see them get in there. And some of them really get down and get dirty. 80% of them come back pretty soaking wet from the waist down. But that's all part of camp and part of having fun.
So it was good, it was 80 degrees. Right?
Today it was a good day, right?
Yeah.
We actually did have to cancel this particular one that first day of the year.
Yeah.
Probably the highlight for all of them is about a 300-foot zip line, and kids will get at the top, and it's amazing how some kids will just go, and other kids, there's just this fear. And then you just encourage them, and some of them just take that leap, and man, they are so proud of themselves after they do it. Others, can't quite do it, but we give them high fives for at least going up.
Absolutely.
I'll bet the tower here is about how tall, John? Probably 40 feet high. So when you get up there and you look down, it's pretty impressive. So anyway, that's kind of outdoor ed camp. We kind of have a clap out on the buses as we leave, and so I think it's something that everybody looks forward to year after year, so it's really neat. Another district update this past Friday was a senior art exhibit.
So good.
And we are just blessed with some really talented young people, and that may even still be up down there. And so if you want to get a chance to go down and see what some of them are doing, it is amazing the work that we see out of our kids. Some upcoming music events. I know tonight, and I apologize at 6:58, we may not get the front end of this, but we have a band concert tonight. Wednesday we have an orchestra concert. May Fiesta is coming up with a dinner show, so wanted to bring that to your attention. We have a number of athletic events coming up tonight. Softball is playing in a district semifinal against Olentangy Orange. Baseball is playing in a sectional final on Wednesday. We find out who we play tonight, and that'll be another home game, 5 o'clock. Our boys volleyball won on Saturday. They beat Gahannock, so they're in the regional semifinals on Wednesday at Upper Arlington against Olentangy Berlin. And if you've not seen our boys volleyball play, they're pretty good. They're fun to watch. It is district track week, and so they kind of break track up a little bit now. It's not like an all one-day event. They kind of make it like a 3-day event. So we just kind of say all week is district track. And then on a side note, our girls softball team, again, for a number of years in a row, are conference champions. They're actually co-champs this year. The boys have an amazing baseball record, but they lost 2 early games, and they are runner-up. We thought right there at the last game that we might have a chance, but last I checked, I think we were 20-4 maybe. That's a pretty darn good record to realize 20-4, and here you are in your own conference, and Worcester is really good this year. So just some ideas there. May 25th is our senior awards night. If you want to come and see our seniors, get recognized, 6:30 p.m. start at the theater. The 8th grade class trip. So I just talked about the fifth grade trip to outdoor ed camp. We're back to taking our 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C. And so they're heading out May 22nd, and we'll be gone 3 days, and we'll be back. And so there's some amazing things that they get to do as a class during that trip, and special thanks to Ariel and their support in some of that stuff. And then, of course, the big day, Sunday, May 28th is graduation. And it's at 3 p.m. and it will be at Energy Fieldhouse. Rain or shine, we'll be inside in nice air-conditioned weather climate. So we'll celebrate the class of 2023. About 278 graduates right now on track. So we're excited for that. And then, of course, the last day of school, dare we say it, school's out for summer. And if you know who sung that, then you are older. And everybody's shaking their head, yes. But that's going to be Wednesday, May 31st. And we do a 2-hour early release on that day, just so we can get kids kind of off and get them home for the summer. So that's kind of your district update. Anybody have any questions?
Just thank you for doing that event for the kids. I think it's just fantastic, the camp. It's great.
Those experiences are really special, and some kids that just may not do as well on a traditional day-to-day, they go out to camp and they shine. And so it's nice to see. And then, of course, the last item for information here is commencement again. I'll be sending some stuff out to you in a week that kind of breaks down our graduating class, and you can begin to think about who you might like to share that diploma with. One item for board approval tonight, and it's a home and community school student participation to Mount Vernon Middle School athletics. So those items for your approval tonight.
Okay, thank you. I would entertain a motion to approve that item as read. Thank you, Mr. Ward. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Getzman. And were there any questions?
The only question, the homeschool, is that for this year or to care for next year? Just clarify, thank you.
Yes, next year.
Okay. Any other questions? Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Ward? Yes. Mrs. Getzman?
Yes.
Mr. Workman? Yes. Mr. Rolla-Dye?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. And I'm going to forgo my time this evening because we were trying to move along, but if you've read any of them, they're all so good. I would encourage you to read each one. So that's the other reason that I thought I should forego my time, because I would have wanted to touch all of them. Even the research article was very interesting. So, and if you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them. I did read all of them, but.
Okay. We have one item for board approval in this section tonight. It's an MOU to Mount Vernon Nazarene University. Again, it feels like we've been bringing you these as we go, but every college sends them to us at different times. College Credit Plus is quite a big business in the college world now, and so they're all wanting to get in, and MVNU is as well, and we got students who participate.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve this item as read.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Workman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Gulladye. Were there any questions? Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mr. Rolla-Dye?
Yes.
Mr. Ward? Yes. Mrs. Getzman?
Yes.
Dr. Bennett?
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. And we'll turn it over to our treasurer.
Do you want to speak to the mic?
Joe, personally. I will not spend much time on the monthly report unless the board has questions regarding it. I prefer to spend my time with the forecast. I will just show you page 3 because, well, I'll stop there.
Yeah.
Yes. That has been helpful, and what a line you will see in the forecast, and I'll explain that when we get there. So our investments are doing well. We appreciate that. And we'll go to the next page. This is very run-of-the-mill. In terms of a monthly report, you'll see no property taxes. We've already got all of our advances in the final settlement for this portion. So just run-of-the-mill, no 3-pay month. It's about as basic as I could bring to you. So if there's no questions regarding it, I'll spend a little bit of time on the appropriation document, and then I'll spend the rest of the time on the forecast. So you're going to see several additional amendments here. 2 of them we actually needed. And what I mean by that is I needed you to appropriate additional dollars in the 200 fund, student-led activities. Oftentimes at the end of the year, we start spending quite a bit of money in that account. That is money that the kids have raised in different capacities, and our insurance fund. So you might be asking, well, why are you increasing these other areas? Well, last year, at the end of the fiscal year, so in the June meeting, we approved any citations we had, which would have been the end of May, and then the fiscal year closed. Well, come to find out, when we closed, we had spent more money in an area than we had appropriated. I always brought it to you the next month, and you approved it retroactively. The auditors didn't like that. So I'm attempting to guess at how much we may spend in some of these other areas and hoping that I get it right. So you approved the retroactive, and they were appreciative of that. But we're trying to make sure that doesn't happen again. Hopefully it will not. So if the board is good with that, we'll go to the forecast, which is where I wanted to spend the bulk of my time. Yeah, I don't want to try. Won't pop up, so. Right here is the page we're used to focusing on. I will explain this difference here from the last forecast of the cash balance, or I'm sorry, excess revenue. So line 6.010, one more down. So you'll see at the end of this fiscal year, at this point, we're projecting $354,032 in excess revenue. So that's good news, because the last forecast, and I have it here in front of me, I was projecting $93,000 in excess revenue, which means we were going to be right on the cusp of deficit spending for the year. So we got a little more breathing room. Why? Well, our investments are doing well. We got a little more funding from the state, and those things have allowed us to pad that just a little bit. We're still precariously close to deficit spending, but it's better news than it was in November the last time I brought this forecast to you. So there's a cascading effect there. You can see next year we are indeed anticipating deficit spending of $213,000. Again, this is as educated of a guess as I can give you, but in comparison, the last forecast we had $318,000 worth of deficit spending forecasted there. And again, it just continues to cascade. You see the year after that, we project $1.7 million worth of deficit spending. It was $2.2 million. And while it's better news, it just continues to get worse from there. You can see the deficit spending, at least the last year we have forecasted here, of $3.6 million. And we would be in dire circumstances if we got to that point. You can see we are carrying a really healthy cash balance, which essentially is our savings account. How did we get there? Well, as the board knows, we've offset some expenses. We've used some of the federal ESSER dollars to pay salaries. It's allowed us to build up a bit of a savings account because we knew this financial cliff was coming. In response to not only knowing it, we've cut building budgets, library budgets, any budget we could cut for next year, we've already made 10% cuts to them. Because even though we have a bit of money in the bank, we know we're in a situation where unless some new revenue starts coming in, we'll have to make cuts. So we just want to be proactive and make at least some cuts that we can make at this point, and hopefully not be too detrimental to our students. So I did want to really point out one other thing, and then the board can ask any questions they want. Bill, if you would go to the last page of this document. As the board knows, The funding is up in the air. Every 2 years, we're at the mercy of the governor and Ohio's legislators. So we continue to be up in the air at that point. But I did want to put something in here to give you an idea of the difference changes in the biennial can make. What you're looking at on the bottom line, so I guess it's blue, but again, I'm colorblind, so if it's purple, forgive me. That's what I have forecasted in the forecast. So every page in here, that's what it represents. And you can see how it's dropping off. Yes, we have quite a bit of money in the bank, but it gets pretty precarious as the next couple of years go by. That is based off 2018 inputs. So Ohio had been operating without a formula for a while. When they finally put one back in place, they used 2018. Should this biennial pass with 2022 inputs, which we're hearing is a possibility and we're rooting for, you'll see that we actually, in 2024, we actually go up a little bit in our savings at the end of the year. So our cash balance will go up. It's still a precipitous drop, but that would potentially buy us some more time. So we're certainly rooting for the 2022 numbers, but I wanted you to be able to see the difference in them. And you can read these numerically at the bottom, actually easier. But I wanted you to see what it looks like if it stays like this versus if they make the changes at the state level. The report is very detailed. Mr. Golodai reminded me of that, and reminded me that I should not go through every page. So I'm not going to do it unless the board has questions.
No, but I appreciate you putting all of that together so that we could look at it, though.
Yes, thank you.
Which you'll find, last thing, I'm sure Mr. Speaker goes over, this forecast is very, very similar to the last one in terms of percentage that goes to salary, all that's almost identical. We just have a little tweak in terms of our interest income and things like that.
Yeah.
And we're waiting to find out what the state will do.
And will we know in June? Is that, okay.
So right now, the governor made his proposal in February. The House finished up their biennial budget proposal last month. The Senate is working on their version of the budget. They all have different tweaks. The governor was 2018 inputs. The House was 2022 inputs. The Senate has a whole nother set of criteria. They're all going to come together and they're going to figure something out. And by law, I think they have to do it by June 30th. And so we'll have a better sense. I would say that what Gary's always done a great job of is being the most conservative in his estimates. I think the governor's is the most conservative, and I think it's the one probably least likely to really come into play, but we're using those numbers, right? And if you remember at our work session, we talked about this cliff because of the dollars. As whatever happens, if it pushes us out, we might find ourselves being able to consider maybe a different timeline relative to levies. Right. It isn't a matter of if we need a levy. We will need one at some point in time. When will it be? Right now, we're actually kind of leaning towards maybe 2025. And that's pretty incredible in this day and age when the last new money that was ever passed in Mount Vernon was in 2013. So we're talking 12 years of working with those resources till we find that we might need to come back. But those will be conversations we'll have ongoing as a board. But there could be some decent news coming down the pipe.
Before I read the donations, let me thank you publicly. I walk down to his office and we start talking budgets, and sometimes it's difficult to get a superintendent to give up things, but he was very much a catalyst and saying, hey, let's start making some changes now and let's do the best we can for our community with making as minimal impact to students as possible. So we're attempting to be very careful with the public dollars, and it's great to work with somebody who has that mindset. With that being said, I will read our donations. We have two very generous donations. One from the Knox County Board of Developmental Disabilities of 12 books totaling $171.89 to the Pleasant Street Library. Thank you for that. And we also have an anonymous donation of $1,000 to the high school. We very much appreciate those donations and our very generous community.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve those 4 items, fiscal services items as well.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mrs. Getzmann. And were there any questions?
Just thank you, Gary. Thank you, Mr. Higgins, for a great report.
Okay.
Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Mr. Rolla
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. And Laura, legislative liaison.
Thank you. I'm just going to be very brief. There was just one new bill introduced in the House, HB 164, which would establish the Foster to College Scholarship Program. And it would require ODE to hire a full-time liaison for the Foster to College Scholarship Program that they wish to initiate. The State Board of Education appointed an interim superintendent, Chris Woolard, and then in a national report, NPR reported that schools across the country are experiencing rising cafeteria debt due to fewer students enrolling in free and reduced price programs. And also I sent an email to Senator Brenner concerning the biennial budget. And there's lots of things that you can look at on your own. If you have anything you want me to relate to any of our reps, please let me know. Thank you.
We have just 2 items for board approval tonight in this section. Their service agreements, both with the ESC. We work with a couple districts within our region, St. Vincent and Seventh-day Adventist. And so some of our resources were a flow-through for. And so we had to have service agreements to work with those 2 entities. And then item 2 is the ESC service agreement for Mount Vernon City Schools.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve those 2 items as read.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Gulladye. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Workman. Were there any questions? Other than some of the costs were kind of a shock.
Yes.
For different services, but that's what it is, so. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Would you please call the roll, please?
Mr. Rolla
Yes.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Mr. Ward. Yes. Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you. And student services.
Student services, Mrs. Rose, did you want to share anything here? Am I good? Okay. No items for information at this time. We had 1 item for board approval, graduating class of 2023. We have 278 students pending completion of the State Board of Education requirements. So we're always excited to share that and to get board approval.
Okay, who would like the honor of making a motion?
I'll make the motion. We accept the graduating class of 2023.
Okay, and a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. And we're all really excited for our graduates, aren't we? Okay, and if you'll call the roll, please.
Mrs. Getzmann.
Yes.
Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Mr. Workman.
Yes.
Mr. Rolla
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes, motion carried. And personnel.
Just 1 item for information there, the salary change notice. We have a lot of items for board approval tonight. Some are for the 22-23 school year and others are moving forward. Of course, you see the retirement of Ronnie Brenneman, who we met tonight. Resignations, a number of resignations for folks who've gotten positions in other places. We do have some summer school substitute and supplemental contracts for your approval tonight. And then we have a large section of employment for 23-24 school year. It doesn't seem like we're even past this one yet, and we're already making approvals for next year. But you're going to see a number of administrative contracts here. Some new teachers that we've hired since some of these retirements have taken place. Transfers, substitute teacher contracts, and then we'll have all of the different committees that take place during the course of the year. You're going to see them here as well. So quite a section here for your approval tonight in this section.
Okay, I would entertain a motion for the certificated licensed staff section.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Workman. Do I have a second?
Second,
Thank you, Ms. Lodi. Do I have any questions?
just thank you for all of that work.
It's a lot.
A lot of other people are doing that work. And
Yes.
When I see the list after a while, I'm like,
It's
oh
amazing.
goodness.
Yes.
That's a lot. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Is that Ms. Regola-Dye?
Yes. And yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Getman?
Yes.
Dr. Brennan?
Yes, motion carried. And classified staff.
And again, items for information here, we did move, had a transfer of Heather Lynn from the high school office to the attendance or to the secretary of maintenance position. And again, just this item of information that was so eloquently shared at the beginning of our meeting about Mrs. Spinell and the service that she had for the district. I would mention one thing here that I didn't mention while we were here. I had an opportunity to be at East a good bit last week, and on Wednesday, Carly and I met and we were talking about some things coming up, and we looked on her desk and there was a stack of, maybe half a dozen to a dozen new books. And on the top of that stack was a book called The Librarian.
Mm-hmm.
And when you read that book, The Librarian, it was as if it was about her. And I know it caught our attention so quickly as we looked at it. We ended up ordering one of those books for every one of the family. And I know he's presented it to them on Saturday. But you know how things just happen in a weird sort of way. But it was the book, The Librarian. And it may be something we want to maybe make sure every one of our libraries get it, maybe in her memory.
That'd be awesome.
We do have a number of items for board approval tonight in this section. We did find a master mechanic for our buses, so we're very thankful for that. And we have a number of 2-year contracts, as you can see there, in different areas, as well as substitutes. Our summer food service program is going to continue this year. And then, of course, you saw the retirement of John Shaw. And because Heather has joined the maintenance staff, that's a 260-day contract, so she had to rescind her summer work crew. Those items for your approval tonight.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the classified staff items as read. So moved. Mr. Ward.
I'll second.
You will second then?
I'll second.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Regola-Dye. And Mr. Ward seconds. And would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Regola-Dye?
Yes.
Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Mr. Workman?
Yes.
Mrs. Getzman?
Yes.
Dr. Brennan?
Yes, motion carried. And let's begin with, I'm sorry, I don't remember, but I'll start with Mr.
You're out of order because we're in a
Yes, it
different
was
spot.
confusing.
Yeah.
I was trying to go back and forth. Mr.
Go
Ward,
ahead.
you may begin.
Okay, well, again, thank you all for coming out this evening. Want to congratulate our graduates and also want to congratulate our the teaching staff, the classified staff, everybody, for another successful year up here in Mount Vernon City Schools. Thankful to our administrators for what they do. It's quite a great operation, so appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you. Again, thank you for those that have come and were here earlier. It is hard to believe this is our last school board meeting of the school year. It went very quickly again. Congratulations to the graduates and also to the retirees. I think it really struck me when you put up the number 236 cumulative years. Wow, that's a lot and much appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you for coming this evening, and congratulations to our retirees, and a big thank you for the years of service in our Jacket family. I was thinking about this closing part of our year, and I've always believed that knowledge is power. And what better place to take in the knowledge than here in our great public schools. Knowledge taken and learned within these walls will assist our children in making intelligent and good decisions as they move forward in their lives. Knowledge learned in our Jacket family will help our children become productive and contributing members of our society and our community. And without our community, we could not continue to do this work. So thank you, thank you, thank you, and especially to our wonderful staff and teachers, administration. What a great privilege it is to be here. Thank you.
I would just echo what has already been said. Congratulations to our retirees. And we appreciate their service to our community and to our kids. I know I personally have been affected by several of the retirees. They've taught at least one of my 5 kids, so it's exciting. Their time has come and it's well-deserved. So congratulations to them. Congratulations to the teaching staff as they wind down these next few days. Our custodial staff, I know they have to kind of gear up for the summer, so that's exciting that they can have that opportunity to shine our schools so that we're ready to go in the fall. So I appreciate all the hard work behind the scenes and in front of the scenes as we prepare for graduation and the end of the year. So thank you to everyone.
Well, I won't reiterate everything, but I would like to comment on the wonderful programs, elementary school, music school programs that we've had going on. Middle school choir concert. Tonight there's the band concert. If you aren't participating and sitting in on some of these, you're missing it because our kids are doing a wonderful job. So I'm just so proud of them. And thanks to the parents for their support. And thanks to the staff who go the extra mile to make all these special events happen for us and all the athletic awards. It's because our coaches care about our kids and because our teachers inspire the kids to do their very best. So I'm just very proud of, as Ms. Reguladai said, about we're very blessed to be in this community and to have this kind of support for our schools and to have the kind of school system that we do. So I feel very honored and privileged to be on the Board of Education at a school like this. And I'm grateful for our superintendent and our treasurer and all of our administrators, our principals, and we're just very grateful for all you do to make this a successful school year. So thank you.
Good.
And would you like to say anything real quick? Or?
You've said it all.
Okay. All
Beautiful
right.
weather outside, and we're ready to go enjoy
I
it
would
a little bit
entertain a
more.
motion to adjourn so we can all hurry over to the band concert. And a second. Thank you, Mr. Ward. Okay, you'll call the roll.
Mr. Roloda.
Yes.
Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Mr. Work.
Yes.
Mrs. Gibb.
Yes.
Dr. Bennett.
Yes, motion carried, and thank you so much for coming.